Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Wednesday. I don't know why I keep thinking it's Tuesday. I think it's because it's like a quintuple number 2 day, so it's like Tuesday. But excuses aside, good morning, older sibling. Excuses aside, yeah, I keep thinking it's Tuesday today, so whatevs. But let's roll through. We'll pull some of these in the morning. It is Self-Care Wednesday. Self-Care Wednesday, and there's a few things I'm going to talk about. And, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, anything other than someone who has been to those things. But I do have some thoughts for Self-Care Wednesday today. And I think they're going to be helpful in the sense that, it's kind of a peek in, right? It's kind of a peek in to certain types of psychology, and I don't want to lose anybody with that, okay? I'm not going to tell you have to go to therapy. I'm not going to talk to you about psychology, but there are parts of self-care that if we don't stop certain habits or certain behaviors, they can affect legit affect our self-care. I am not getting any cards except summer. I don't know what's up with that. Summer. So summer, you know what? Let's try the Rebel deck. Maybe the Rebel deck will help. I love the amount of people that know I do a show at 8:30 and they still want to text me. But it's like, yeah, I get you're not watching, but hi, I'm busy. Alright, there's one that kind of poofed out. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to today's topic and conversation. So hopefully we'll get some people on pretty quick here. So maybe I can just roll into it. Because, like I said, the cards they're not really coming right now. I got two. Alright, I guess that's it. Brace yourself, because the Rebel deck is not for the faint of heart. Can be rather mouthy. But let's see. The first one that came out was Believe What You See, Face Reality, or Live in Fucking La La Land. Choose bravely. So believe what you see or face reality. Wait, believe what you see, face reality, or live in fucking La La Land. Choose bravely. I want to add to this, though. A lot of times we are conditioned by life to believe that we cannot have what we want in life. Now, as far as material things, I think those things are available to anybody. And I don't mean go out there and take what is not what is not yours. What I'm saying is that if you work hard, or if you truly believe that there's something that you want and you work hard, one day you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I'm in a position where I can have this now, right? I'm in a position where these things can be mine. Good morning, baby sibling. So when we tell people to not live in La La Land, I think what we're saying is don't expect a unicorn to show up on your door, okay? I'm sorry, guys. My hair and I are not on speaking terms right now. We're fighting. And we are fighting. So anyways, but it's kind of my fault. I kind of messed up my hair a few months ago when I tried to give myself some kind of weird haircut. I don't know. That's my fault. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, how many times do I have to say this? Don't be limited by other people's beliefs. Okay? So if you believe that you can achieve something or attain something, don't let other people tell you can't. Work for it. And like I said, if you're not sure, or maybe you have some kind of hesitation, just say, you know what? This or something better. This or something better. Okay? So that, something or something similar to what you wanted, you will get. Sorry, I need to take this off too. I am fidgety today. I don't know why I'm fidgety today, but I am fidgety today. It's also February 2nd, 2022. So 22222. And the 22222 portal will be opening today for those that are in more metaphysically minded. And if you're not, be ready for it anyways. This is the time of good things happening. In fact, I wrote down what a friend posted, and it says this is a time, well, let's see here. I'll just read the whole thing. I'll read the whole thing. I'm glad I wrote it down so I can share it. Tonight is a time of extreme cosmic energy, which will intensify towards February 22nd, 2022, which also, as baby sibling pointed out to me, lands on a Tuesday. So that will be the ultimate Tuesday. Anyways, I've interrupted myself. This energy can bring whole new realities, mindsets, and miracles. Jupiter and our moon will also be in conjunction in 22 hours. And I don't know how long ago this was, but it is bringing blessings and miracles happening in our life, instant shifts in mindset and new realizations, good news, dreams coming true, achieving our goals, wealth on all levels, real love and the right person coming our way, breakthroughs in our career, achieving our financial goals, clearing all negative vibes, feeling instant relief like knowing that everything will soon be okay and the best is yet to come. Whether you want to subscribe to that or not is up to you, but get rid of the negativity, get rid of the negative notions and all that other stuff, because honestly, that's the biggest part. When you get rid of negativity and you allow the flow to just flow, you're going to be surprised at what will happen. You can be surprised at what comes in. Next card, stop obsessing. You are not the fucking center of the universe. You know, it's funny. I was sitting here this morning thinking, how do I move past my fear? How do I stop worrying about everything? Hi, I am not the fucking center of the universe. I think that pretty much sums it up. Get over yourself. So now I just need to get over myself. But today, as I mentioned the other day, I want to talk about transference and projection. And these are actually two I guess psychoanalysis therapy type of terms. And gosh, I'm telling this is okay, it's so weird, right? My brain literally just went blank. I mean, how often does that happen? We all know that, you know, Shelley Marie can talk until the cows come home. I mean, I am a rambler to end all ramblers. But yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to talk about this subject. I feel like it's a good subject to talk about. So it's possible that this might be something that I am trying to let go of. I used to project, and I used to have the issue of transference. And I'm going to kind of read my notes really quick, and then we'll talk about it, because both were actually discovered, or I don't want to say discovered, but in a way discovered by Freud. Okay, so that's why when I said it's gonna talk about psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, that this is kind of what it's talking about. I will just break it down to therapy, because, you know, psycho is such a, I don't know. Anyways, not trying to be politically correct, just trying to keep my head in the game here. So, transference and projection. First is transference. The reduction to a substitute, usually a therapist, of emotions that were originally felt in childhood. Now, what I wrote down, a modern view is when you meet someone who reminds you of a person. Wait, no, sorry. Yeah, I am trying so hard not to apologize for stumbling over this. I mean, I literally do not know what's happening right now. My brain is just shutting down. It's like I can't explain it. I mean, literally, I feel like someone just sucked every thought out of my head. But, so let me try this again. Transference. The reduction to a substitute, usually a therapist, of emotions that were originally felt in childhood. A modern view is when you meet someone who reminds a person of someone else, and they transfer their pain or emotions onto the new person. Transference was considered by Freud as an important part of therapy, or as they called it in his time, treatment. He also thought at first that it was a hindrance, and and that it was not, well, I don't want to say a hindrance. He thought it was a patient's resistance to a certain form of therapy that he was trying on people, but then he realized what was happening and realized that it is actually an important step. Carl Jung, who was mentored by Freud for a while before they had a falling out, had the idea that the tension transference creates can allow one to grow and transform. For me, I would assume this process would have something to do with shadow work and picking apart the whys of transference. Freud also developed the concept of projection. He believed people used it to reduce their own stress or feelings or guilt. I'm personally adding pain and shame, thus protecting themselves psychologically. Bullying can be a form of projection. Now, I know I talked about that movie everybody's talking about, Jamie, yesterday, and one of the things that I want to note is that I don't know how many people caught this that have actually seen the movie, but towards the end of the movie, the person that was bullying, if you look in the background, there's such a disassociation with this person and what looks to be the father, and it looked to me like the father might have been a drunk. Okay, and I'm only saying that because I swear I saw bottles. They made it a point to focus in and to point out that bullies aren't always necessarily bullies because they just want to be assholes. A lot of times it is an internal pain inside of them that they don't want to deal with because, maybe a parent has shamed them and saying you're weak, you're this, you're that. So they take it out on somebody else who they believe is not as strong as they are. And that can be also transference. But a lot of times that really is projection. Projection is, well, we've talked about this a lot in the past because I have been known to project. When older sibling first started helping me on my path years ago and trying to get me into or trying to get me to understand that I had depression. And, at first it's like, no, I don't, because that's for weak people. Well, meanwhile, this girl has had depression almost her entire life, right? And here I am saying, no, that's for weak people. And why? Because that's what my mother told me. My mother, and I don't think she meant it as harm. I think she was worried that I would fall prey to my mind. Now, from her, I have heard that she had an uncle who had who had taken his own life. Okay, and I think that scared her. I think that's what she equated depression with, is someone taking their own life. And I think she was worried about that. I mean, yeah, I'm an only child, but I don't think that part mattered. I think what mattered was she didn't want to lose her child to a mental illness. And, I told her, I said, not everybody's like that. He needed help. He didn't get help because he grew up in a time where it was considered weak, where, if you were in therapy, you were probably committed into a hospital or something. And because people didn't understand it. I mean, the interesting thing about it is Freud is considered the father of psychotherapy. Well, he just lived in the last and the previous century, right? He was a part of the 19th and 20th century, and I believe part of the 20th century. I don't think he died until the early 20th century. But the point is, psychotherapy's only been around for the last, 130 something years? Imagine how many people could have gotten help. I mean, like, publicly gotten help if they weren't so afraid of their feelings. Feelings are a good thing. If God didn't want us to have them, if Source didn't want us to have them, he would not have given them to us, right? But the problem is a lot of times we don't work through them. I'm going to bring a baby sibling again. And a lot of times I bring her up because I've watched her parent. Okay, I have seen her parent firsthand, or we'll talk about it. And, sometimes if she's having a bad day, she'll call me and she'll say, you know what? So-and-so came up to me today and says, Mom, let's meditate. And it's like, and to hear that coming from someone who is much younger than they are now, it's kind of like, wow. But that's because they see her. It's an example that we follow. And a lot of times when we don't have that example to follow, we have to figure it out for ourselves. But if we don't have the opportunity to immediately figure it out for ourselves and to understand terms the way they are, we will have a sort of transference. It's like I mentioned the other day. I have a friend who has a child who is taking all these angry childhood memories and she's transferring it onto the parent that she believes is responsible for all this pain that she's been through. And I don't like to tell people to get over it because I feel like there is a level of help that is sometimes needed. But if you do not move past your own anger, you are never going to get never going to get better. You are never going to. My mind is so jumbled, and my words are just. I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth right now. But you're not going to get better. And I know that's kind of a rather matter-of-fact way to put it, and maybe it was just me, because I know if I didn't get over my anger, if I didn't get past my pain, if I didn't get past my shame, I would not have gotten better. I am still discovering parts of myself that are still angry, but they're not angry about what happened to me anymore. They're angry at, how it was handled. They're angry at, being told that, we don't talk about these things. And I've had to resolve that in my mind. I've had to work through that. I've had to have these emotions and say, okay, I understand now. But when you stay mad at something or someone for too long, you're just literally letting something build and build and build without any resolution. And if you don't have a resolution, you're going to continue to stay angry. Now, I'm not saying that this person's child, this person does not want to lose seeing their grandchildren. But that's another thing I hate, is when people use the children against somebody else. It's like, if you have something to say, say it. If they don't want to listen, then that's their problem. If they don't want to take accountability for their part, that's their problem. They can hit the bricks. But in this case, this person is literally just sending their parent certain things, certain items, certain, articles, just trying to make them feel as bad as they feel inside. And it's not about healing. Well, I'm reading this book about blah, 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 and it's because of you. Now, I also know the story about this person's other parent. And this other parent will not give them the time of day. And to be perfectly honest, although I'm not a therapist, I feel a lot of this is being transferred and projected onto the parent that does, or is active in their life and tries to be active in their life. Because there's pain there. But because they can't tell this other person this, they're literally transferring all these thoughts to the one who is active and present. And that's not fair either. It was just like in the movie I talked about yesterday, when, Jamie tried to talk to his father, and his father just literally brushed him off, shunned him, and he took it out on his mother, the one person who had supported him his entire life. The one person who maybe behind her back was ridiculed because of how her son is. No, she was just a good parent. She loved her child, and she loved her child more than she let other people's comments or thoughts or words affect her. It takes strength. That takes courage. That takes a lot of power. And a lot of people don't have that. His father didn't have that. His father was ashamed. His mother was not. His mother was proud of who he was, or is, I should say is. And that's, but there is a difference between transference and projection. A lot of times the transference comes from, and the reason they say it was usually, when they say it wasn't the reduction. Why I kept saying that, I don't know. The redirection of their feelings to a substitute, which is usually the therapist, is because a lot of times these emotions will come out in therapy. A lot of people will just kind of come back and be just like, rare. I mean, there were times when I was in therapy that I would just start getting angry, and I would just start, just all this garbage and sewage was just coming out of my mouth, and I would look at my therapist and go like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's not you. That's not about you. It's just, I don't even know where all this is coming from. It's just," and she would just tell me, "It's just all your pain and your anger coming out." And she's on, "It's okay, because I know you're not directing it at me." But it felt like it, right? Because there's somebody in the room who's listening, not saying anything, just kind of being the there person, and just letting you talk and open up in a safe space where somebody's not trying to fix you, they're trying to guide you. And I was very lucky in that sense, because my therapist was an awesome tour guide through the horrors of my life. And I know that's a terrible way to put it, but really, truly, it was. She was an awesome tour guide through the horrible things that I had to share and I had to get out. And in a way that is a form of transference. Now, the reason I chose transference and projection for Self-Care Wednesday is exactly what I've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. If we project our anger, our stress, feelings of guilt, pain, shame, anger, all these things, if we project these and continue to project these onto people, what happens? You end up feeling bad, because now you've yelled at somebody who's an innocent bystander to your crazy mind, and you're literally throwing somebody under the bus who doesn't deserve to be thrown under the bus. And I probably shouldn't have said crazy mind. I'm thinking about my own, because my mind is just out there sometimes. But when we lose our shit about something, say somebody has a bad day at work, they come home and they take it out on the people at home. That's projection. That's being angry at someone over there who has nothing to do with the people over here, but taking it out on these people because it's safer. Your family can't fire you. Well, they can if they want to, but your family can't fire you, right? So whatever your boss did to you, you are now taking it out on the people at home. Instead of just talking it through with people and saying, "I cannot believe, blah, blah, blah." You're just getting so worked up and so angry that you just take it out on the nearest person. When, I talked about the one coworker that I had that, just would pick on me a lot. I think a lot of it, after a while, I started to realize that it wasn't about me. There was a lot of anger in this person, a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of, I've done this, that, or the other, and I get no help from everybody else around me. And so they take it out on who they would consider to be the weaker person. And I guess that was me, because a lot of times I wouldn't say anything, because I would just be like, okay, she's got to get it out. But every so often it would step over the line. It would step over the line, and she would make it personal. And that's why I had to put my foot down. And I did tell her once, look, because, she came up to me, she's like, "Well, I don't know why you thought this, that," and I was like, "You know what? I don't care what you think when it comes to being upset." Or no, I didn't say I don't care what you think. I told her, I said, "You can vent to me anytime you want. If you need someone to talk to, you tell me. But the minute you start making it personal again, we're done. Because I don't deserve that." But it also made me take stock of the way I have talked to people, the way I have treated people. Even my mom, when I was growing up, she would tell me, she's all like, "You need to watch your tone with people." And I said, "Well, I don't understand. My tone is fine." I thought it was. But there was all that anger and all that just so much venom in the background, right? All this vile stuff just trying to get out, that I did have a tone. I just didn't recognize it. Because she's all, "Well, when you talk to people, sometimes you come off so harsh." And I never realized that. And because I didn't realize that, a lot of times it could have sparked things. It could have started things. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's what would trigger Sissy. And then we'd fight. Right? Because she had a lot of anger and all that stuff. Marie, so I told Landon that with his tone all the time. Maybe it's a Lucas thing. I don't know. But whatever it is, a a lot of times when, even if we don't realize there's something hurting us in the background, there could be a tone. And I think what we need to do is to really just kind of take stock every morning and every day, even in the morning, that, just take stock of where we're at. How are we feeling? Because I have noticed a change in my tone. A lot of times there's pain. Even if you don't think there's pain anymore, there's pain behind these tones sometimes. There's anger or hurt or grief or sadness or just, feeling invisible. And, it could be a lot of different things that's going on that could be, just kind of pushing this tone in a certain direction. Good morning, Ladina. So again, I know that self-care is often about what we can do to take care of ourselves physically, health-wise. And, but it's also, I like to cover the mental aspect of it. What can we do for ourselves mentally that will help us move forward in the direction that we want to move forward, that will help us, find that grounding that we need. Now, again, I'm not telling you need to go to therapy. That's a personal choice. Okay. I've had people say, well, you should go to therapy. But interestingly enough, when somebody said, have you thought about it? It made the difference because it was my choice all of a sudden. It wasn't somebody else's choice. And I realized in that moment too, that I had to destigmatize this particular, adventure. And I'm calling my therapy an adventure because it was an adventure. But I had been diagnosed with depression probably 20 years before I finally went to before I finally embraced therapy. I had 2 therapists before. Neither one of them worked out. I'm not sure if it was me or them or just both of us. But I know that in 2017, when I decided to go back for the really intense 6 months that I went, that I was ready. I was ready to heal. I was ready to let go of all this stuff. And I was ready to destigmatize it. I remember when I was leaving for work, it was on, because I always tried to make my appointments on a Friday so that it wouldn't really interrupt anybody's day. Because, come on, seriously, by 2:00 on a Friday, nobody's working. Everybody's just, clock counting or they're minute counting and just goofing off and doing whatever the hell they want to do. But I would always make it for like 3:00. So I'd leave at 2. And I was leaving one day and I said, look, before I leave, do you guys have anything you need to get done? And, so my coworker says to me, she's all, where are you going? She's all, something fun. I said, no, I'm just going to therapy. And she's all, oh, what did you hurt? And I'm all, because they're thinking physical therapy, right? They're all, oh, what did you hurt? I'm all, my brain. And they're just kind of like, what? And I said, yeah, I'm going to therapy for my head. And then they're like, do you have a concussion? I said, no, for my thoughts. And they're like, oh. And then all of a sudden you could see the change on their face. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm not ashamed. And I left. After I asked them again if they needed anything done. But I realized in that moment how even in the 21st freaking century, we're still stigmatizing this shit. It needs to stop. The biggest part of self-care isn't just about getting your massages, getting your mani-pedis, taking care of your well-being around you. It's about taking care of this. What sits in here. I cannot tell you how important it is to take care of our mental health. Whether you have a diagnosis or whether you are normal, you have to take care of your mental health, because even people who do not have a dinged up mental health have days where their brain just revolts. It rebels like nobody's business. And those are the very few times that somebody who does not have a mental illness or a mental diagnosis can see through the eyes of somebody who does. I have had people come up to me and say, you know what? I don't know how you do this every day. Well, I don't do it every day. I take mental stock now of where I'm at. And some days are harder than others, but I've gotten to the point now where I'm so used to dealing with this and having, depression and having a dinged up mental health, that I just know how to deal with it for the most part. That's why I know when it's a bad day, it's a bad day. Because when it breaks through my barrier, it's like people who have chronic pain, right? There are people who have chronic pain. I'm just going to sidestep here for a second. People with chronic pain live with pain every day. Okay, it's why it's called chronic pain. But there is also something else called breakthrough pain. So, for those who have fibro and those who have CRPS, or also known as RSD, or who just have chronic pain caused by other autoimmune things, the breakthrough pain is when it's like pain on top of their pain, right? It's like stacking blocks now. So it's like, here's a level of blocks that is just their pain that they deal with every day, and they work through it every day. Then all of a sudden, maybe they tweak their back, or maybe, it's just one of those days where they're extra tense, don't know why. Whatever the case is, they are suddenly dealing with pain on top of pain. So it's breakthrough. And for me, I've kind of taken that term and said when I have a breakthrough mental health day. And that's when I just really have to focus. I have to pull back and really kind of reassess and see if I can save the rest of my day. And for me, I'm fortunate enough that a lot of times it will happen in the first few hours I'm awake. So it's okay, because I do know when I can handle it, and I do know when I just have to kind of go through it. And I don't want to, actually, I shouldn't say just go through it. When I say handle it, I mean, can I change the narrative? Can I change it around and salvage, this morning into this day? Or do I just have to give up the ghost and say, okay, this is going to be one of those days where I just literally have to focus on, taking care of myself? The hard part is just like breakthrough pain. You never know when it's going to happen. It just does. And so you deal with it. And you deal with it so that you're not using transference. And you deal with it so that you're not projecting. See how I tied that back in there? Yeah, that's right. But it is true. Right here when I talked about Carl Jung had the idea that the tension transference creates can allow us to grow and transform. So transference does cause tension. But when you take a step back and you start to break it down and ask yourself, why is it causing this tension? Why am I so angry? Where is this anger coming from? Is it really coming from and being directed at the right person? Or is it coming from a place where I just can't figure out how to heal? And that's where I feel like he hits the nail on the head when he says the tension transference creates can allow one to grow and transform. It's healing. I think that's where his shadow work comes in. And, Carl Jung was actually the father of shadow work. And it's to me, and I put him for myself that I said I would assume this process would have something to do with shadow work and picking out the whys of transference. Why, and why. When you can't ask why anymore, you were probably through the transference that was their issue. But other people will sit there like me and go, I don't understand why this happened to me. Why me? Well, yeah, okay, we can ask why me all day long, but if you don't stop asking why me, you're going to miss out a lot on life, because you're going to be too busy blaming everybody else for your problems instead of taking accountability for it. If you keep directing your anger in a billion different directions without asking why you're doing it, you are probably going to struggle with healing, or you're not going to heal at all. The part of accountability, even if you were on the wrong side of things, is about knowing that it's not your fault, letting it go, and deciding, do I want to be angry about this for the rest of my life, or do I want to heal? Healing doesn't mean you have to look back and be okay with what happened to you. Healing means that you're no longer letting it run your life. You're no longer struggling with letting it hurt you anymore, because you're taking your power back. You know, and this is why lately for Self-Care Wednesdays, I've been trying to focus on things that we can do to pick up the self-care of our thoughts, of our brain, of our minds. You know, I mean, the heart and the brain, they're the royalty of your body. You know, everything else, yeah, they help you survive and they help you live, but this is the stuff that keeps you going. You know, people can be brain dead and their heart can still be pumping. You know, but when your heart starts pumping, your brain is going to die too, because there's nothing going left in there. So they're a team, they're a tandem, and you have to keep both of them healthy as much as you can, because they are what is going to get you through life. And don't you owe it to yourself to not have the feelings of transference, to not project your anger or your pain on somebody else. You know, one of the things that I used to hate at the beginning, when older sibling was trying to help me, you know, understand my mental health and everything, one of the things I super duper hated is when I would just start to lose my shit and she's like, okay, let's bottom line this. And I'll tell you why I hated it. I hated it because there was so much anger in me, I wasn't ready to not be angry anymore. And by bottom lining it, it means I had to stop and try to understand why. And trying to understand why sometimes made me feel bad because I felt like I was just an asshole. But it turns out these feelings were legitimate. These feelings were pain and you know, just anger that was repressed, confusion, shame, guilt. All these emotions just building and forming the perfect ugly storm. And then they would kind of subside, and then they'd all get together for a group meeting again, and just poof, there she goes again, blowing her top like a volcano. You know, and I don't want to be the volcano. I want to be the lava that creates wonderful things. And what happened was, finally, to go back to yesterday's analogy from that card, is that when she started bottom lining it, I would blow my top, but guess what? When she would say, let's bottom line this, all of a sudden I would just break down in tears, and all this verbiage and all this crap that was coming out was the lava, but it was creating something beautiful. It was creating a foundation for me to understand that the pain someone else caused me was not my fault. It has taken me years to accept that. It has taken me years to understand that the guilt and the shame and all this icky stuff I felt was not my fault. But if you don't do the work to get through that, you're going to struggle. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to do the work and you're going to succeed. There's something I read the other day where someone says, I hate it when people said I did the work and that's why I'm better. People who do the work and are still struggling doesn't mean they're not doing the work. It just means their struggle is different than yours. So when I use the term, I'm doing the work, I mean it for me only. I'm not looking at anybody else, because I know a lot of people virtually that struggle so much more with their mental health. And I think a lot of it too is because, you know, physically, they may not have the people in their lives that understand what they're going through. I am fortunate to have that. I am fortunate to not just have people virtually understand what I'm feeling, but also physically in my life, people who say, hey, you know what? Do you need to talk? Are you okay? Do you need me to call? You know, Bestie, he calls me like once a month to check in. I'm a terrible friend. I always forget. I'm a texter. I will text him and say, hey, how's it going? But he'll call, just, hey, you were on my mind today. You know, and I've known him since I was 14. He's like my brother from another mother. And he's going through a lot too. His mother-in-law has Alzheimer's or dementia. Well, I think, to me they're kind of the same, but I know they're a little bit different. But so that's just an adventure there, you know, watching somebody you love slowly fade away. And of course, while you're doing with that, it's also like literally dealing with a 2-year-old in an adult body. And so, I do need to be better at that. Sometimes I focus so much on my own healing that I forget that there are other people around me. So maybe that's the other thing we can do, work on the transference, work on the projection. If somebody angers you, or if you have anger from something and you feel it trying to come up and out, reach out to somebody that you trust. If therapy is a choice for you, I do highly recommend it. It worked for me. I know it can be hard to find the right therapist for you. I got very lucky. I always gratitude getting the right person. Now, I know that's not everybody's jam. If you want to pray for it, great. Try that too, which I also know is not everybody's jam. But if a person does not resonate with you, even though it may be a pain in the ass to go back through the process of filling out the paperwork, doing the intake, all that stuff, it's worth it to find the person that is going to mesh with you and heal you. Okay? Yes, I will have to deal with my mental health for the rest of my life, but again, for anybody who's new, I will reiterate, one of the reasons I left therapy is because I was becoming too dependent on it. I wasn't dealing with my feelings in real time. I was dealing with them, or I was saving them up for my sessions on that day. So I kind of went from one extreme of, just ignoring my feelings to saving them up so I could talk to somebody instead of just trying to process them in the moment. And actually my therapist agreed with me. She thought that it was time. She thought she was, we both kind of joked and said it's graduation day. But what she did for me was one of the greatest experiences I will ever have in my life. And that doesn't mean I can't go back. That doesn't mean I won't go back. Who knows? Maybe there will be one day where it's like, you know what? I just cannot get out of my own way. Can you help me? Or you just want to go there and just have someone that you can bounce stuff off of, right? Every so often. But when that moment comes, I'll know. But right now, I am grateful that I am in a situation and in a place where I am learning how to deal with my feelings in real time. I am learning how to not transfer anymore. I am learning how to not project anymore. Because people don't need to be my punching bag. Your people around you do not deserve to be your punching bag. If you have pain, sit down and talk to someone you trust. Don't hold it back, because if you hold it back, it is going to come out like a volcano. It is going to fire and shoot in every direction like a nuclear bomb blast. And you don't know who's going to be the victim that's around you. You don't know how many people you're going to lay waste to until you're done spewing all your venom and all your anger and all that vile stuff that's been stuck inside of you because of somebody else, or because of something you may have gone through that was not your fault. So it's always good to have a person that you can trust and that you can turn to, and pick 2 people, because, one of them might be busy. Life happens. Life is still happening for other people. And I know in the past that when I've needed people and they haven't been there because they're busy, I have gotten angry. And it's like, well, what's the point? But that's also why I journal. Because it's not about them. It's about me finding ways of being better for myself. It's about me finding ways that when it's just me that has to deal with it, that maybe the higher powers and the powers that be are saying, this is something you have got to take care of yourself. This is something you have to learn how to get through, and not always count on someone to get you through it. Okay? Because in the end, it's you. You are your number one teammate. You are the number one person in your life who is going to get you through everything. Even if that means picking up a phone and calling someone else, it is still you picking up that phone and calling somebody else, or you reaching out to somebody. So, be a good teammate to yourself. Give yourself a break. And like I said, do your best to not use transference of your pain from somewhere deep inside of you and putting it on someone else. And do not project when something has gotten you angry and then you just take it out on the first person you see that's listening. Okay? I know it can be hard. I have been through this. This is why I talk about it. No, I'm not a professional. But like I said, I have had an extraordinarily massive amount of life experiences. And I really feel that they are what is pushing me forward, on this path. This is what is pushing me forward to get better, to be better, to reach out and help people, and to share my own experiences, because I know how difficult it can be. All right? And what happens when you have the transference without even realizing it at first, or you project onto somebody else? It says right here, projection. Freud believed that people used it to reduce their own stress or feelings of guilt. I added pain and shame, thus protecting themselves psychologically. But it doesn't. In a lot of cases, I would say a lot of cases, especially in mine, after you're done projecting and you see the wounded people around you, you have these feelings all over again. You feel the stress and the guilt. You feel the anger. You feel but now you're sad and you're ashamed, because you're like, holy crap, what did I just do? Right? You just blew your mind in front of everybody, or in front of whoever it is that you took your stuff out on, and you can't take that back. You can apologize from here to the sun, and they will probably accept it, and they will say, hey, I get it. But the point, and I will say, I mean, this is obviously not a real stat, but just, the common terminology of 9 times out of 10, they are going to say, it's okay. I know it's not me. You're just angry at something. But instead of getting to that point, just say, look, you come home, you're angry, you're upset, or you need to call somebody because maybe you live alone. You're angry, you're upset. Either journal it out, exercise it out. Some people do that. That works really good for them. Or, reach out to somebody and say, look, I really need to get something off my chest. Can I vent? I just need to vent to somebody right now. Because that will save everybody a lot of grief. That will save a lot of pain. And that might even save people from some tears. Okay? Because I have projected and I have seen what it does to people. And it's not pretty. And it's certainly not pretty how I felt afterwards. I felt like shit. I felt worse than when I started projecting, right? Because now I've hurt people just like I was hurt. Don't bring people in to commiserate with you. Bring people in to pull you out of it so that you can be happy along with them, or you can be content along with them. That's a big part of self-care, is taking care of what's in here. Taking care of what comes out of here and out of here, right? So, anyways, that's my self-care Wednesday for today. I have one apology. My hair. I hate my hair right now. That's right. I'm making it so first world. # first world problems. It's not even funny. But I really hate my hair right now. But anyways, I know. Anyways. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope I didn't go too far off the rails on this one. These subjects are very, very important to me when it comes to transference and projection, because I have recognized myself in these behaviors. And a couple of days ago, when I was talking with older sibling about the one friend that we were discussing that was having the transference problems, it really kind of hit home on some of the damage I may have caused throughout my life before I started to get help, before I started to understand. And, even after I left therapy, I still had these problems. And a lot of it was resistance. I was resisting the healing. There's a part of me that is trying so hard to move out of fear and move into trust. And I'm struggling with that. So if anybody has any good ideas on how to get past that, how to get out of my own way, I am happy to take those recommendations and give it a whirl, because I don't want to live in fear anymore. Living in fear is pointless. Okay? Because what did I say? Fear is a liar and worry is its best friend. So the whole point of life is to not stress through it. Just try to enjoy it the best that you can. And, maybe circumstances always don't leave us in a position where we feel like we can do that. But you will find that the more you believe and the more you are able to string good days together, that the bad days are going to start taking a back seat, because you are going to give yourself the tools and the understanding and the compassion and empathy to yourself that you need to move forward, in your own healthy mind. Even if you have a dinged up health and you're going to have a dinged up health forever, or mental health forever, it doesn't mean you can't move forward with joy in your mind, because you're gaining the tools, you are learning the tools. I used my depression as an anchor for a long time of why I can't do things, why, good things won't happen to me. But I held myself back. And now that I pulled up my anchor and decided, hey, you know what? My depression to me is like a child, okay? It's my floof. I mean, floof is the depression, right? It's that inner shadow me. And I named it floof because I figured if I gave it a name, a cutesy name, it'll be something that I can deal with. Like, okay, here we go again. It's like, what are you doing to me, floof? I know you're talking to yourself, but I had to do that for me to rationalize it in my head. I had to make it so much a part of me that it is like raising, it is like having a relationship with a child and trying to guide them and help them move forward in a positive direction. All right. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves out there. Tomorrow's things to think on Thursday. I'm sure I will think of something to think on for Thursday. I will see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook Live. It is public. Anybody can watch. Hopefully I get my brain back. I literally almost said Central Standard Time. I live on the Pacific Coast. I don't live in the middle of the country, but it almost fell out of my mouth. So it's almost like somebody's trying to talk through me, and it's not me. So it's just like, stop. But anyways, whatever my issue is right now, I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Again, you can catch the replay on YouTube, usually up before noon Pacific Standard Time under the Aloha Perspective with Shelley Bray Lucas. Okay. If you do go there to watch it on a replay because you missed something, or maybe you're not on Facebook Live, then please, feel free to click and subscribe, and then you'll always know when I'm coming at you. So again, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see everybody tomorrow.